Hi everyone, Ashlyn here, and I'm doing a video on how I make the different parts of my birdie bread for my bird Tango. I do want to say it's not really mine. I did get the original base recipe from BirdTricks, which I will link below. I have added a lot of things to it since then. I've kind of turned it into my own little recipe, but BirdTricks definitely gave me the idea, gave me the base, and I use their pellets, as I'm about to get to, so I would definitely check them out if you are interested. So I want to start off with what my base is. I'm going to first do a dry batch here, and I want to show you what goes in the dry part. Then I'll show you next time I do a veggie mix what goes in that, but this is the dry part. I have here the BirdTricks All Natural Parrot Pellets. They come like this, but I go ahead and powderize them like this. I just do it in my blender. Really simple. I also use Roudybush, so I use two different types of pellets. I get the nibbles size because it's pretty much already pre-ground. So I really like that size of that. And then whole wheat flour and rolled oats. And it goes 1 cup of the BirdTricks pellets, 1 cup of the Roudybush, half a cup of the whole wheat, 1 cup of the rolled oats. This is definitely going to be the base of your bread. So let me go ahead and put those into the mason jar and let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so as you can see, it fills up most of the jar because this, like I said, is going to be the base of everything that you do. This is packed full of nutrients from the different pellets and the different stuff. I always use whole wheat flour. Pretty straightforward there. The next thing I do is half a cup of granola. I personally use these. The cinnamon oat clusters with flax seeds and the oats and honey clustered with toasted coconut. I do know that these have sugar in them. Some of this stuff does. This is, again, about getting a picky eater to eat veggies. But I use about half a cup. So a 1/4 cup of each, and this is like a 2-week meal, 2 weeks worth of meals for the birds. So the amount of sugar it goes in is way better than, say, someone feeding their bird cookies and stuff like that. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a sec. All right, after adding the granola, this is what you have. And now comes the smaller additions that I've kind of made to this recipe. I used to, and you're not going to see me do it, I used to add cuttlebone, grated cuttlebone. And the reason I don't anymore is I actually did blood work on my birds, and their calcium levels are actually a bit high. I think it's because of all the nutrients and the calcium they get from the pellets, the calcium they get from the almond milk, the calcium they get from the egg, which all goes in later. I think it was just a little overload of calcium. So I am no longer adding cuttlebone. However, if your bird is a bird that needs more calcium, you can always add grated cuttlebone. So next up is all the additives. Let me go ahead and get those set up for you. Alright, so this here is what I end up adding in. Milled flax seeds, chia seeds, ground cinnamon, baking soda, and chopped walnuts. And I know a lot of people see me and I, always talk about how nuts should be used for treats, and I do truly believe that. I am slowly weaning off of the chopped nuts. I used more of them in the beginning to try to get him to eat this because it had so many veggies in it, and now I'm slowly weaning him off the nuts and adding way more Roudybush and pellets. I, in the beginning, only did a 1/4 cup of just Roudybush. Now we're up to a cup of both. So, and I used to use half a cup of walnuts, and now we're down to 2 tablespoons. So it's kind of a weaning process, and I kind of take it slow. There have been times I went too fast and he stopped eating the bread, so I had to back up, but I find that if I take it slow, do a little bit less each time of the nuts, a little bit more each time of the pellets, he does well with that. So of this, I use 3 tablespoons of the milled flax seeds, 3 tablespoons of chia seeds, half a teaspoon of pure baking soda. He loves cinnamon. loves it. It's a personal preference of his, so I put 3 tablespoons of this. You do not need to do that much. And then I use 2 tablespoons of the chopped walnuts. Alright, as you can see, this is filled to the top of delicious goodness. Got a lot of healthy stuff in there and some stuff that will help picky eaters eat. And I'm about to show you how this looks with my vegetable blend. I did not get a video of me making the vegetable blend, but I can show you what I put in it and what the birdie bread turns out to be. Alright, here's the final steps. We're going to be combining our dry mix with part of a banana. I don't even use a whole one, even though this is a 2-week double batch. Try to use like half to 3/4 of one. This is just one I had that was left from this morning. Almond milk, egg, and a bunch of pre-mixed veggies, which I will be showing you some pictures of that, probably right somewhere in this video. But I went ahead, since I did double batch, I went ahead and chose 2 bags that I pre-made and weighed out. I'm going to be using 2 eggs, a half cup of almond milk, this, and that. And I'm going to be mixing it all up into here. So, I'll do that, show you what it looks like. Just to give you all a sense of how many vegetables this is. This is all the dry mix. This is after vegetables. Those little 2 tablespoons of walnuts aren't looking so bad then. So yeah, this is all a pre-chopped. I think there was like 14 different vegetables, and I did add a few raspberries and blueberries to this mix. Beets, green beans, Brussels sprouts, kale, alfalfa sprouts, broccoli sprouts, broccoli, squash, sweet potato, zucchini, did I say cauliflower? I don't know if I said cauliflower. And yeah, some other stuff. But this is a whole big mix that I made. Gonna mix this up with the dry stuff and show you what it would look like. It is not gonna necessarily look like bread, but I'll show you. Whew, okay, not done yet, but pro tip that I just learned. If you don't want your hands to freeze off, definitely defrost your veggies a little bit longer. Alright, and this is how it looks after officially getting frostbite on my hands. Notice it's just packed with veggies. Oh, this is so good. I love this recipe. Then what I do is I set my thing to 400. I plop it in. Now, depending on sometimes the thickness, this is a 9x9. Baking is ceramic. It'll probably take an hour to an hour and a half. Sorry, I had a little cinnamon spill there. But about an hour to an hour and a half bake time. I will show you though while this bakes what it would look like after, how I split it up, and about how much I feed my birds. Alright, last but not least, what I feed him. So, thanks to this recipe that I've been doing with him, I've actually discovered that he has gotten to like raw vegetables. So through this process, I figured out which ones he's picking out, which ones he's eating, and I found that he likes sweet snap peas, I guess they're called, peppers, and also green beans. I don't have any green beans, so snap peas and peppers for him. This is his nighttime meal. Mostly vegetables. If they can eat raw, eat raw. It's so good. But because he doesn't eat so many different ones, I do have to still supplement with this bread. And I'm just going to open it. You can see this is about the size that I break them up into and I freeze them. They last me usually about 4 days. And this is about what I would give him. This is how it looks, kind of baked, as an evening meal. Okay, so really not much. This all fits in the palm of my hand. This is for a blue and gold daily flyer macaw. So he is working every single day getting exercise. So, and this is his evening meal. Also, sometimes I'll even reduce the amount of birdie bread depending on his weight, but his weight's been really good. So I go ahead and do that. I never reduce the number of vegetables. I always reduce the amount of bread if his weight is getting a little bit higher. And yeah, so if I were to do breakfast, sometimes for breakfast I might just do more veggies, less bread, if he'll eat them. At night, I find that he tends to want the bread more, so I give it to him. You kind of play around. I monitor his weight every single day to make sure that I'm not overfeeding or underfeeding. Want to make sure that he is happy, he is healthy, and not starving. That is not our goal. Even though we do a training diet and food management, that does not mean starving. That just means making sure that he's getting an appropriate amount and not too much or too little. Just for comparison, you can see much bigger bowl, much smaller bowl. Both of these are for blue and gold macaws. This is for our daily flyer, who is working off a lot more. This is for our blue and gold who does not fly. She unfortunately has arthritis and it's hard for her to move around. She is getting better, but she also will eat pellets. So, because she'll eat pellets, this is her evening meal. And sometimes she'll eat all of it, sometimes she doesn't, but she also eats pellets. That we just give her straight Roudybush. And that's her evening meal. So, don't look at this and go, oh, my bird who does zero exercise should be eating this much. This is what I have found works for my bird and for his weight. And believe it or not, she is bigger and weighs more than him, and they're about the same body size. So I have to be really, really careful about her. And I'll show you the scale that I use as well. Alright, so this here's Woodrow. Hi, Woodrow. Good girl. So she would never let me handle her before, and I apologize for my terribly messy kitchen, but this is what she's on, and she's around 978. So, good girl, good girl. We're trying to get her back down into the 960s, but we want to do that slowly, not super fast. Good girl. I also need to have a much higher treat reward for her to be so well behaved with me. Oh. You want to come up, baby girl? Alright, I'm going to have to put the phone down. Yep, the minute I put the phone down, she was fine. I used to not even be able to come near this bird. This is what training has done for her. Also, for a super arthritic bird, she is doing super well. That maneuvering and coming out of her cage. She's doing so good. Look at you dancing. Look at you dancing, Woodrow.